We're learning tonight the Mamaer Ki Teitzei Beis, Ki Teitzei L'Machama Alevecha, in honor actually of my great uncle Reb Moshe and my aunt Pessi Weiss. They didn't have an aliyah. So this week the Mamaer, it's a long Mamaer. We're not going to do the whole thing, but we'll try to get through part of it. The Rebbe says like this: Ki Teitzei L'Machama Alevecha. If Isa B'Zohar, that Shas Tzloisa Shas Krava, time of davening is a time of battle. And this is the verse that says, that this is a battle with Amalek, the forces of evil, every generation. It means every generation we face this battle. It's not like it's a battle that comes around once in a while. It's a battle that happens continuously. The Rebbe says, every generation, every day, a person has to have this inner struggle with themselves, which is, what is the struggle? So the Alter Rebbe explains, there's two sides. Every time there's something, whenever there's an energy in positive, there's also an energy in negative, and vice versa. There's nefesh, the kedusha, there's the holy soul, which is what is the functionality of the holy soul in the person is ma'aseh, dibur, machshava, our actions, speech, and thought, midos v'seichel, also our emotions and our intellect, dikdusha, all holiness. So he breaks it into 5 categories of action, speech, thought, which are the levushim, the garments, and then the inner garments, which are our midos, our character traits, and our intellect, and all functioning in a holy way, to think holy attributes, holy emotions, holy. You're utilizing your intellect for holy thoughts. And of course, you're speaking and doing and thinking holy thoughts. And then there's the other side, which is the animal soul, which and it also has the 5 categories of wants to do things that are connected to not non-holy things, speak things that are not necessarily holy, think things that are not necessarily holy, and using your attributes, your midos, and your intellect for things that are not Torah. It doesn't have to be a horrible thing, but if it could be something that's not connected at all to God and godliness. It's not connected at all in any way, consciously, in furthering the God and godliness. And there's always going to be this battle. Sometimes the good side wins, and sometimes the negative side wins. But the idea is that the negative side should never win. It's not like we want this to be an equal battle, but it's always going to be a battle. And the idea is that a person has to strengthen their holy side. And when is the time of the battle? When does the battle take place with the person? So this the most recognized time of this battle is that the Zohar says is the time when we daven. That's an opportune time for a person to tackle these issues. These issues that you're having with your animal soul, the time for to use your godly soul in the way of battle to fight this is the time of davening. In Isa b'Zohar, the Zohar says like this: whoever kills the snake. The snake, of course, represents the snake from the story of Adam and Eve. Is Yavinin le'bar to the Malka? He will get the princess. He'll get the daughter of the daughter of the king. So by killing the snake, which is the negative forces, you're gifted. This is the point of the Maimer. Chiva, what is the chiva? What is the snake? Is hu nachashad kadmoni. That's the initial snake. That's the original snake that is in the story with the tree of knowledge, good and bad, which is bechinas Amalek. That is all the same thing. It's the forces of Amalek. And the forces of Amalek are fundamentally against anything that has to do with the forces of, like we learned last week's parsha, the parsha we read this past Shabbos, that the Amalek is a Muhammad dar. It's a constant battle, and they go and they fight the Jewish people. And if you kill the snake, shenitzach means you're victorious in the Muhammad. You get gifted from above. Which means to say is there's things that are above your reach. And it's not like the revelations that come to you are revelations that you could attain on your own. It's gifted to you, but in order to get that gift, you have to kill the snake. You have to kill the forces of evil. You get the daughter of the king. The Indian idea is like this: there's 2 levels of this battle. hanefesh al-kis she seichel midas. One is by utilizing the koach, the strength of the godly soul, which means what is the strength? Not the levushim, but the koach of the godly soul, where it's kind of its revealed definition. A person, most people are have an equal up. Not everyone could have the mobility of each other. Not everyone has the ability to articulate. But the levushim of speech, thought, and action are things that are not don't define your character. It defines your functionality. But the seichel midas, your intellect, each person's intellect is different, and your emotions, that does define you who you are. I mean, how smart are you, and how it means it doesn't make you a better or worse person. Just it's a definition. You're using your inner kochas, your inner strengths. So he says one battle is in the koach of the nefesh elikis, which is your seichel midas, your intellect and your emotions. What do you feel? What gets you excited? What are you utilizing your seichel for, your intellect for? And in your own seichel midas, in your own intellect and emotions, you've been given the power of holiness, to be victorious. And this, therefore, they say, because you have you've been given the tools, so to say, therefore they say, man, that the person who kills the snakes. What do you mean the person who killed the snake? It means it's expected of you, and you've been able to do it. It's not like one who has the ability, and a person could look at the battle and say, the snake is too tough. I'm not ready. I'm too scared. I can't. Everyone has the seichel midas. Everyone has the intellect and the emotions to tackle this battle. But there's a second level. There's a part of our, as how smart and how as talented as a person is, there's parts of us. There's a level that's beyond us. That the koach and nefesh, that the strength, the soul on its own, without help, doesn't have the ability to overcome. Therefore, they say is that the statement that the Alter Rebbe is saying, that the statement is two things. They're both about the person. The idea of killing the snake, that's in your ability. But to get the daughter of the queen, that's not in your ability. That's a higher level of connection to godliness, of revelation, that's a gift to you. And therefore, when we talk about a Amalek, it says there's two expressions. One is you have to battle Amalek, and the other is that's God's battle. Which one is it? Is it our battles or God's battle? So the idea is there's two parts. There's the battle, there's up to the level of what you can attain, and then there's the part that God, when we start with this battle, God responds and joins the battle to help us overcome a full Amalek, and they're able to get the full outcome of the battle, which is the daughter of the queen, of the king. Now he says like this: "Hinibarta de Malka." What does this mean? The daughter of the queen. Everyone wants to win the princess's hand, but what's this mean in our avodas Hashem? So he says that Barta de Malka, the daughter of the king, is Nikudas Sion, is the point of Zion. Means there's Zion. We're going to learn Zion. We're going to learn in a second what this means. But the point of Zion is the gift, which is called the daughter of the king. Uknesis Yisrael, and therefore the Jewish people. Shekainesis v'sefes atecha aris Yisrael delela. What does it mean, Knesses? Knesses means the gathering place. So the Jewish people are called Knesses Yisrael because they are the gathering place to reveal the higher level of Yisrael. There's a level of the Jewish people that's beyond our consciousness, and the idea is to gather and make a receptacle to reveal that the subconscious level of our soul in a conscious level. V'hi bechinas nekudas halev. And this, what does it mean, nekudas Sion? Nekudas Sion means the point of the heart. It means we're gonna realize, we're gonna learn in a second, as far as we get, that there's the external of the heart, and there's the pnimis of the heart, the internal of the heart, and there's the way the heart gives off a manifestation of emotion, and there's at the end of the day, is what we're trying to figure out is how deep could we get to the feeling of godliness within ourselves, and how much could we feel, and so that we have a heart that feels something. So how much are there components that make up this love for Hashem, or how much is it in the essence of us? Are we able to be connected to the essence of what our heart feels? I mean, it says what really matters to us, what really drives us, what really gets us excited, is that every Jewish person has what really gets them excited is godliness, is Hashem, And the idea is how to reveal that we recognize that. So he says that the daughter of the king is the Bchinas of Nekudas Halev, the point of the heart. And what's the real essence, eternal of the heart? That's revealed in the soul of the Jewish people. And what is the feeling of when the essence of the heart is revealed? It's called Reusa Deliba, a yearning of the heart. Like it says, with all your heart. So sometimes we say with all your heart, meaning it's a plural word. It's a say b'chol halev, with all of the heart. Why does it say b'chol levavcha, with all your plural heart? So sometimes we say it means both the Yetzer Tov and Yetzer Hara. In here it explains it that there's the external of the heart and the internal of the heart. The external of the heart has a bit of an agenda. It's not pure. But the internal of the heart is what's pure. It means that's why when a person is tested with Mesiras Nefesh, am I going to, my Judaism, my connection to Hashem can't be negotiated anymore. It's a question, right? That someone says either serve an idol or serve God. Either I'm going to kill you or you're going to serve God. That's called Mesiras Nefesh. At that point, everything else doesn't matter. And therefore, what's revealed in Nekudas Pnim Salev, the essence of the heart. The idea is not to die for God. The idea is to live for God. So how do we reveal that while we're alive? So even though that's b'chol nafshecha, it's the next level in the Shema, but that's a revelation of b'chol avavcha, that in there, that there's the Pnim Salev, there's the essence of the heart. What do I really want? So he explains what they are. The external of the heart, that's a feeling that's below your understanding. Meaning to say is that it's given birth of understanding. It means your mind sees things in life and analyzes what's important to it and responds to that information. So therefore it's called lamata min das. It's beyond, it's beneath das. It means that your mind creates what matters to you. Shemimenu lukacha, because that's where the feeling of the chitzonius halev is taken from the logic, from your mind. Means you look at things in life and you've come to the conclusion that this is what's good for you, and therefore this is what you want. This is the using of the soul, uses the power of its comprehension and intellect. And it's Sharna on page 8, bottom part, the last paragraph on the right hand side. We're talking about the difference between the Chitzoni Salev and Pnimi Salev. And we quote the Zohar says that there's that in order to get gifted what's called the Pnimis Halev, the core of the heart, that's a gift to you. But you have to do the avoda, which is called killing the snake of the original snake of the sin of the tree of knowledge, and that's the battle of Amalek every year. So we're describing now what is first the external of the heart to understand what the Pnimis Halev is. So the Chitzonis Halev again is Lamata min hadas. It's beneath the intellect. Shemenu lukacha. It's created. It's been taken from the intellect. The intellect creates the feeling. It means what you should, what drives you, what matters to you, what excites you. V'hiskabish nefesh koach hasaga. And this is strengthening the power of a person's intellect, comprehension, vaskalas, and intellect. Shemaskelas umispadenes, that the person contemplates and analyzes. So we're not just talking about Chetzonis Halev is not just talking about that worldly things, but we're talking about why do you love God? Why? Because you contemplate and you say, and you look around, and you see that there's nothing. There's not even a blade of grass that doesn't have a spiritual source. And etc. I mean, everything, whatever exists because there's a source of godliness there. That's that's directed specifically for that, for the well-being of that particular item. To the highest level. And where does all the life force of every individual thing or creation come from? Is the utterance of God. Like the verse says, you, God, give life to everything. And it says, the verse says, that God says, I'm giving you today life. It means life, anything life comes from God. There's everything that's created can either be alive or dead. Shamavis hu gashmi sadavar. What does death mean? Death doesn't mean that it's no longer existing. Death is the non-godly life force. That's what we would call in this case the keli, the vessel. The vessel of the blade of grass is the avagashmi, the physical thing, which is and the material thing. B'chaim, what is the life? That's the ruch nishba. That's the spirituality of everything that exists. Even though, of course, even the gashmis doesn't exist on its own, right? There's no like, it's not like there's something that exists in the world, and God is the energy, the power that powers it. The very fact that there's the gashmis also is because God created. But that's the difference between, we've discussed this before, the difference between the life force and the keli, which is the life force to create the vessel, and the life force of the life. Means God, everything has a keli, but the keli itself also is even though the keli limits the life force that it should only come in a certain way. For instance, a blade of grass is only a blade of grass. It's not going to start dancing around. They're doing other things. It has its functionality. So the idea that limits the functionality of the life force, that it should give life to a blade of grass, that's the keli of grass, but that's the root, that's the gashmis of it. But the life force of that, the Dvar Hashem that keeps the keli is different. That's just the definition. But the life of it, that's the neshama of everything that exists. And therefore, Hashem says, choose the life. Don't look at the keli. Don't look at the vessel. Look at the godliness that keeps this alive. Why? And what happens when a person contemplates that and makes that choice? Is love as Hashem lekecha. He takes that to lekecha. To love Hashem your Lord, because He's your life force. You realize when you look at everything around the world, you realize that the thing that's alive in everything is godliness. So if I'm alive, it's because godliness is functioning and alive within me. So of course I love God. He's the life of all life. Baruch Hu, blessed be He. And the source and the beginning of everything. There's no beginning before God. God didn't conquer the world. When God wants us to conquer the world, He wants us to bring consciousness of what exists. Anything that doesn't want to recognize godliness, that's death. Because then what you're saying is there's no real life in the world. And if there's no life in the world, then it doesn't exist, that's death. And that's why it says in the davening that roimim eskel begroinam, that you elevate through your voice, and you have the sword, to do a vengeance against the nations. What's Ratzalemer? What's this mean? That goyim doesn't mean the nations of the world, someone else. Goyim means the goyishkeit within you. What's the goyishkeit within you? Something that's not godly. He explains, goyim himaisiv in the burim machshaves is the actions, speech, and thoughts asher lo Hashem heim, and they're not for God. Again, it doesn't mean that you're thinking about serving idols, and it doesn't mean that you're thinking about doing negative things. They're thoughts, speech, and action that have nothing to do, and they're no way furthering anything that's godly. And where does the life force of this come from? That's a malik. That's a malik. A malik says is that what's this idea that you have to be a person that what drives you and functions you and what you looking to do constantly in your life is to further a godliness in this, the godliness in the world. So God exists. Why does it have to obsess you like that? Why does it have to take over every part of your life? And therefore, it's lasas nakama. We're doing vengeance against that idea. So he says, "V'heim nimshachim b'chinas amalek." And amalek is the idea, is the voice that says that the person doesn't have to be aware of the godliness that's in everything. B'hanakama, what does it mean to take vengeance? So vengeance is shubitulim v'shvirasa, is to nullify this idea and to break it. How do you break it? You break it by not being conscious, by not focusing on the non-godly parts of things, but by turning it into a godly experience. I mean, again, it doesn't mean that for a person to be godly, you have to sit in the synagogue the whole day. You have to sit in the shul, you have to be learning Torah. Of course, the person has to learn Torah yom v'layla. But if there cannot be anything that exists in your time and space that's not that person could say this has nothing to do with God, even in places that the Torah says that it's not a time to learn Torah. It's not even appropriate. It's not allowed for you to learn Torah. A person goes to the restroom. You're not allowed to learn Torah. Not only you're not allowed to learn Torah, you're not allowed to think Torah. But what you're doing obviously is not something that you could say is a glorified thing. But at the end of the day, that's part of living, and part of living is a healthy person is a person who serves Hashem. This is part of keeping your health. It penetrates. It's not about what you're doing as much as why you're doing it, and what is your drive, and what are you trying to accomplish with your existence here in this world, with your time here in this world. That's why the Alter Rebbe says that when it says in the pasuk that a person's been giving 70, 80 years. It's not 70, 80 years to have a good time or to make a name for yourself. It's what Hashem allocated for you. What Hashem thinks you need, the time you need to do your part in revealing godliness in the world. And that takes up all your time and day. Because everything you're doing, even if you can end up studying one law a day in the morning, one law in the afternoon, and davening 3 times a day, and if you counted your hours of actually spending on godliness and Torah, may be limited, but that constant points of charity and doing things and saying Tehillim and going to shul and running to shul, thinking about mincha and doing parnasa so you could send your children to Jewish education or help others, or to have a space that's there's always the effect of everything that we do that some way or another is leading towards. All rivers go to the sea. So eventually something is about some way or another is going to trickle into something that's connected directly to furthering the interest of godliness in this world. That's why Yaakov Avinu says that he fought Shechem v'charbi b'kashti with my sword and my bow and arrow. Targum Unkelos, and Unkelos says with my prayer. Why? Because davening is the time of battle, and therefore we've learned in different Mamaerim, there's different weapons. There's the weapon of hand-to-hand combat, which is the sword. There's fighting the outside forces to eliminate the negative that could come into your space. That's like a bow and arrow, which is like a missile, right? From fighting from a distance. When a person davens and talks about the greatness of God, this creates the weapons. The weapons that you have are created through davening. The sword and the bow and arrow are weapons that are created during davening. That's why there's the famous Mamaer of the Rebbe Marash about the question in the Mishnah on Shabbos, if a person is allowed to walk with weapons on Shabbos. Those days, even today, in army uniform, right? There's a lot of people have guns, not just for the protection, but they're also part of your uniform. Is when King Charles goes out he's not about to take out a sword and fight someone, but part of his uniform is to have a sword and to have a knife and to have a gun. So too. There's so what does it mean? What's the question? The question is, you're not allowed to carry on Shabbos. So if you don't need the weapons, you're not allowed to wear them. So there's an opinion that says no, that you're allowed to, because it's not just a weapon. It's a decoration. It's a clothing. It's a statement. And Chassidus says, what does it mean? It's a levush. It's a garment. It's a statement of pride. When you come to Shabbos and say, look, these are the weapons I use to fight during the week. This is my davening, and this is my sword in davening. This is my bow and arrow in davening. So you're showing that this is how did I come to Shabbos? The only way I'm able to walk into Shul Shabbos is because of the weapons that I had, that I've acquired over the week, the spiritual weapons. It becomes a sword to battle the bad within yourself. Now he says, this is all as high as this all seems, this is all attainable, and this is all expected of us to do. Means the avoda of hisboninus, of contemplation, using our mind to recognize this and create the swords. This is not a gift. The sword and the bow and arrow are things you have to create. This is tlachitzonis alev. This is all how God fills the world. It means we're looking at the functionality of God within the world. We're analyzing creation to come to an understanding and a recognition of Hashem. Like it says, God's the king of the world. And that's as far as the souls, before they come into the body, and the angels could contemplate. All they see is what is about them. What is chitzonis? What does it mean, Malik Olam? Malik Olam is how God is, what has God done in creation? We're not thinking about God outside creation. We're thinking about God within creation. And that's where they live. They can't think out of that space. They're constantly standing there and in a holy way, crowning God as king. This means they recognize how God as being king of the world. And that's only a name. It's a title. Means they're looking at the job of God as opposed to who is God. Because Hashem himself is way beyond that. But there is as far as a person's contemplated soul goes, is as up to the level of God as being king. And therefore, when a person says, bless the name of God who's king over the world, and therefore I love him. The loving is a result of a person's contemplation of God's functionality within the world. So that's chesaynis alev. And you love it. It's like a person who loves the kihu chayacha. That's my kihu chayacha at the end of the day is when a person says, love God because he's your life force. There has to be something about me inside this conversation. And the me in this conversation is that I exist. And my existence is dependent on Hashem. And my ability to perform, even performing spiritually, is because Hashem allowed it so. So therefore I love Hashem. But there's still a big part of this is all built around what matters, that my existence needs to have a justification. And my existence has to have a source. And therefore I connect to that, and therefore I love that. And it happens to be Hashem, therefore I love Hashem. That's Ach Pnimis Alev. What is the inner part of the heart? That is the yearning and secrets of the heart. It's way beyond the reason and in the contemplation and the power of our understanding of the soul to analyze and come to the conclusion that they have to love God. Meaning to say it's not a love that's created by logic. It's who we are. It's not how we are, but who we are. The first part is about why do I love Hashem? It's created by my logic. My logic explains kihu chayecha, and therefore I love God because He's my life force. He's the life force of all existence, and therefore I'm committed to God and I love Hashem. But over here, but that's all chitzaynis alev. But the pnimis alev is beyond any reason. It's not because there's no reason. It's who you are. That's what it says. It's the part of God in the soul. That's the essence, the yachid, who you are. And therefore, because this is who I am, I'm a part of God. It's the essence of my being. Therefore, it's not because God gives me something or my existence. That's who I am. That's who I am. It's not. There's no negotiating here, and therefore I throw myself to give myself over to the Creator. Mamish, and therefore he says to throw my soul to the source of my Father. Mamish, in a way, page 9, bitul. It's all about self-nullification. So the fundamental difference between pnimis alev and chitzaynis alev is about me, which is called yesh mishayev, someone who loves. What do you mean someone who loves? I'm someone, and I love God because I need the very high reasons, lofty reasons. And it's all about Hashem, but I'm someone who loves God. Over here, it's all about the bittul. When you recognize that beyond creation, beyond why, is that who am I? I'm a portion of God, so therefore, of course, it's not about me. I don't want to exist as a being. And that is, that's the way Hashem is beyond the world. Means the first one is how Hashem functions, and therefore we're connected and committed to recognizing His function and how everything exists in the world from Hashem. And the Sovav is the concept of beyond the world. It's not about the world. It's about God is. Because the level of God that is filling the world and function and giving life to every individual being in the world is the way God comes into the chain of creation. And goes chain down from one cause and effect down further, and until it gives life to physical, actual things. But the way God is encompassing the world, it's been not about the world. It's the God beyond the world, as if the world never exists. It means before the world exists. There's no world at all. It's not about a chain of functionality within the world. It's the level of godliness beyond the world doesn't exist. And because time doesn't exist and space doesn't exist, it's not a matter of time or space. I mean, it's not sovev outside the world and space. It's not before the world and space. The whole idea that there is now and was and will be is part of creation. And the idea that there's makom, space, is also a part of creation. Soviv is beyond that whole concept. And a person realizes that they're connected to that. We're not part of creation, we're beyond creation. And therefore, I want to have a relationship beyond creation. We're not dependent on creation. God fills equally the heaven and the earth. That it doesn't see the heaven and earth as two different spaces. That heaven is holier, more godly, and the earth is less. God is equally sanctified, meaning beyond heaven and earth. He's just as much as he's not further. Means the way we look at it, see, from our perspective, is if you had to look at it and say, yes, God's very holy and very spiritual and very godly. But if you said, one second, but there's two places here. There's Garden of Eden, there's angels, there's heaven, places of all spirituality, and there's our physical world. There's the material world in its klipas noga, in its permissible, and beyond, and lower than that, right? There's really dark ideas that are happening and actions that are happening in this world, whether it's in the individual and the world as a whole. So from our perspective, it's very hard for us to understand and say that God is equally has the same relationship equally with the angels' world and the Garden of Eden as he has with this world. He's saying, even you say, yes, God is beyond both of them. But to say that there's no difference to him, it's all the same. The darkness of this world, it means we're a place where very few people are recognizing consciously, constantly, God's existence, to the higher worlds that is constantly bowing and recognizing Hashem. So that's the way God is within the worlds. Within the world, yes, the higher worlds is more connected, the lower worlds is less connected. But from the place of Sovev, there's no, it's all equal. It's a Shemayim v'Saretz and Nimali. And equally, Shagam Ruchnis, Gam Gashim, Yechshel Fanav Yisbarach, it's all the same thing. And not only that, as far as from that perspective goes, the ability to accomplish something. That's why Torah mitzvahs were given into this world. Because from that space, Torah mitzvahs connects to the Soviv. And from the level of Soviv, it's not about where is more holy. It's where could the Hashem's desire for why he created the world be actualized. And that's in this world, and specifically because of its complications. Therefore, the angels want to say, where's the point of God? They say, God fills the whole world equally. But he says, everything is equal. The whole world's filled with God's presence. All the cosmos, the creations, the sun, and there's the 70 masters of each nation, and each one gets their energy from a specific angel that they get from the utterance of God. That goes all in the system. But that's the system of creation. But our teachers have taught us in Gemara Shabbos that ein mazal Yisrael, that the mazal is the way the world is created. There's the system, and the system starts that from the utterance of God, Baruch Shem V'Vayolam, comes the whole creation of the angels, and then the angels go and it comes down until it manifests in this physical world. But it says ein mazal Yisrael. The Jewish people are not connected because of part of the ecosystem of God's creation. There's no mazel because the Jewish people are a portion of God beyond creation. That's the whole. That's the idea of Pnimius Aleif. And that's why that's gifted to a person. Meaning to say like this, what Alter Rebbe is coming to say that let's go back to the beginning of the Mamaer. The Mamaer says you're going out, you're going to battle. In the battle, and the battle's constant. There's our part of the battle and God's parts of the battle. And the Zohar says the person who kills the snake gets the daughter of the queen, of the king. What does that mean? It means that first you have to conquer your chitzonis alev, the parts the consciousness of your life, the parts the parts of you that are connected to why you love Hashem because He's your life force. And then Hashem could gift you what's really going on over here. That the real connection to Yid and Hashem is not because of anything connected to this world. It's beyond this world, beyond the whole concept of this world. And like he says, Ein Mazal Yisrael, the Jewish people are beyond this whole Mazal system, this whole ecosystem. God is part of the Jewish people. The Jewish people are part of God. But Atem to you, Li, you're connected to me. We are connected to the part of God that's beyond the world. And you think about it, that's fascinating. And therefore, the only outcome of that could be, it's not about me, it's I don't exist. It means that if you're connected, there's no logic to that. That's why it's not based on logic. It can't. Therefore, it has to be gifted by Hashem to be revealed in a person, because we can't understand from and everything we do in this world has a mathematical equation of why. There has to be a benefit. Something has to make sense. There has to be a system that works. And here we're saying is there's nothing to do with the creation, nothing to do. It's beyond any system. You're connected to the part of Hashem that's beyond the world. That from that perspective, there is no world, but nevertheless, you're connected to that. So what could that bring out? What emotion what response could you have when that's revealed within you? Revealed within you. That's the pneumius halev. Is all of a sudden it's brittle. I mean, there's nothing. It's not about me b'chlal. Because my whole being, how I see myself, is in this world. But I'm connected to God beyond this world. So he says. Therefore, he says we're connected beyond the chain of creation, the part that's beyond the world. And that is where your essence. You want to know where you means. It's not that the essence of your heart is a vessel, and the question is that God's going to pour something into that vessel that is so deep that it penetrates so deep, it penetrates the essence of your heart. What is your essence of your heart? Is that connection. That's you're saying. That is, and that means that you want to know what's essentially in you is that relationship you have with Hashem. That's beyond creation. That a person, and how does it express itself? When it's revealed within you, that your love for Hashem has nothing to do with reason, because any reason is connected to this world. Therefore, it's a natural yearning of the heart, not because of anything. No matter what you have in heaven, is li b'shamayim v'imcha, and what's with me, lechlatz, the other one. I'm not looking for any manifestation. That I'm looking to see. I don't want to climb a ladder within this world to get to a higher place. I want to get out of this world. I want to be into the level that's beyond this world, because that's where I'm connected to. And therefore it says, that my heart is connected to my chelik, my portion of what I am. But this love that every soul has because of who we are, it's very hard to reveal that. It's totally concealed within the person. It's exiled within the body and the animal soul, but the animal soul has needs and has wants, and it's very hard for a person to get beyond that. So he says, when we go to the things about Edom, God is with us, because the source of God is with us, no matter what journey we're on and what's happening in our life. The Shekhinah is not God as a part of God that's outside of us. It's the part of God that's within us. It's exiled and subjugated. What is it subjugated to? That instead of saying, a person wake up and say, well, I'm so fascinated by my essential connection to God, and how could I actualize that in my life? You wake up and you have dagas hapanasa. You have worries of how am I going to provide today for my family? And that covers and encompasses the essence of the heart, that instead of feeling, how am I going to further God's interest in this world, you're thinking about that, and you're bothered, and you have an anxiety about what's going on in this world, the physical. By nefesh could be nafshi yavi lachme, and like it says, we say in davening, look at this person. We say this in the Musaf prayer, that with their soul, he or she with their soul puts bread on the table. And I'm preoccupied. I have an anxiety of all the thoughts that could bother a person. So if we say, the person who's able to kill the snake within them, when a person is able to overcome the soul, that's the things that are preoccupying them in their external, that this is the war that you've been given, that you can win. It's been given to you. Think about, contemplate, focus on godliness within the world. You'll be given above the daughter of the king. That you want to have revealed within you the essence of your heart. To do the battle that you can do. Battle the forces you can battle. Focus, work. It's not by definition. It's a battle. Battle doesn't. It's not a decision. It's yom every day, every time. And the davening is not when the battlefield. And the Chassidus explains that that's why a person struggles in davening to concentrate and all that. But it's not just that. The battle is constantly. But when are we drawing our swords? When are we going to do the battle? Is the 3 times a day we go to daven. So, and then you're going to get gifted when you do your part to try to battle. So what does it mean, your part, practically? So first of all, this is what we spoke about until now, which is the positive, is really understanding how God is the Chayach is my life force. And from what I understand is that a person has to also try to conquer their anxieties, try to conquer up to our ability. It means when a person wakes up and says that what's preoccupying me is my tirdus aparnas, my preoccupation of providing, or other things that are worldly that are sitting on me, whether it's parnasa, whether it's health, whether it's other social, whatever the thing is. He says, "Called tarid libay ravis machshavis," all the different thoughts, and there you battle those thoughts to conquer them, to say that what matters to me is godliness. Then you get the daughter of the queen, and that's what he says. And what does it mean? To reveal the essence of your heart, who you are. That's God's battle. That's God's gift to give you. To take out, to free the essence of your heart, the essence of your soul, from being concealed to being revealed. So this is what it says. You say it's in Mechama when a person goes out to battle. When your soul goes out to battle the animal within you, you have to know that you're going to be above your enemy. You have to know that if you're going out to the battle, so God's going to once you go out to the battle, God's going to join the battle. And then you're going to have the power to be above your enemy, in full force. And you're fighting with the powers of Sofiv Kalamim, that's beyond the world. Above your enemy, because in that part, the enemy has no touch, can't touch you there. And then you could take back the captives. What does that mean? You could transform the negative to positive by taking off the soiled clothing, the soiled garments. What are the soiled garments? So we say the garments of a person's machshava dibur ma'aseh, by action, speech, and thoughts that have been soiled in worldly things. So when you go out to the battle and you connect to the essence of the chitzonius life, and God joins the battle and reveals the essence of your heart, so then all the thoughts, everything evaporates, goes away. You get rid of the soiled garments. When you're able to reveal the encompassing energy within you, the essence of your heart, then you're above your enemy. But in order to do that, you have to be kisei tzemacham. You have to go out to battle. Hashem's not going to. Hashem is going to join the battle. But you have to initiate. You have to be the battle. You have to be kisei tzemacham. Then how's it going to be alevech? How's it going to be above? How's it going to be above your enemy? It's going to be above your enemy because Hashem is going to join the animal, join the fight, and then you're going to have the ability to reveal the essence of your heart, which is going to be, and then you're above your enemy. It's not going to be a fear fight even. Now, let's just do one more paragraph and I'm going to stop here. It says like this, this idea of revealing the essence of our soul to be able to be successful in our battle. This is the revealing of it's a ha'ara, it's a ray of the essence of your soul. It means that what happens is when you're victorious and you come alevecha, is that all of a sudden means in the Mamaer from the Rebbe, B'chama Libi, 1960, the Rebbe goes into the different levels of Aris Pnimis Alev and the Pnimis Alev. There's the essence of the soul, and then there's the light that comes from the essence of the soul. It means right now the essence of our soul is concealed. We said it's in a levush sak, it's concealed. So we're trying to function with only our chitzonis, only our mind. Our mind is trying to tell us that it's about God, and our mind is trying to tell us to be victorious over whether it's the struggles that we have in just doing Torah mitzvahs, or even the struggles that we have of facing the stresses of life. But but when we go out to the battle, then we have it says that we get revealed the essence of the heart. So here it says over here is that the way when a person is victorious in the battle is because that what happened is that there's a manifestation from the essence of the heart, ha'ara of Nekud Salev of the soul that comes out. And that ha'ara, that manifestation allows that the levushe machshav d'irmaisa, the person's thought, speech, and action, shebezelu mazed, that's from the other side, that we should transform it. The kabetz koiches hanefesh aliki hamufuzar mepizar nefesh b'levushe mahem shekoichesev arusev b'lvad heim shemispashim levushim alalo. Idea is that from the light, so to say, the ha'ara that comes out of the essence of the heart, is to be able to gather because if we're not constantly serving Hashem, then we have strengths of the godly soul that are mefuzar, that are spread out. They're not consistent. They're not always. It's like something that's spread out. It's not. There's no structure. And so what we're doing is we're going to restructure our thought, speech, and action. That it's in a system of only loving and serving Hashem. So he says, this is what it says. Let's do a little further. At the top of page 10. This is what it says. If you've been pushed all the way to the sides of heaven, from there you will get gathered. What is the things that are pushed out? There are all these thoughts that go out with the person, that bring a person down. And these are not, again, we're not saying bad thoughts. We're just saying these are thoughts that are pashut, that are preoccupying a person. It's very hard to undress yourself from these anxieties and stresses of life. But that means that these are things that are pushed out, that they get lost. As you know, that this idea of dreams also brings a person, to places that they don't want to be, or there's the kafakela. One of the punishments that happens after the person dies is that when you pass away, the kafakela is like this slingshot. What's the slingshot mean? That when a person, just like a slingshot, slings things back and forth, so too, what happens is that right now, we only see things from the perspective of life. It's very hard for us to undress ourselves from the anxieties. If a person's struggling with health issues, I mean, how can you tell a person who's struggling with health issues that it's not a real struggle? Of course it's a real struggle. My life depends on it. And it is a real struggle. And Torah says you have to be healthy, and you have to make sure you're being healthy. But that the anxiety of and why you want to be healthy and all the parts, or if a person has parnasa issues, we can tell a person, you don't have parnasa. What do you mean I don't have parnasa issues? I have to pay my bills. My kids need to eat. So you can't. It's very hard to. But the question is how deep does that penetrate your existence of why you are, who you are? And what happens is after the person passes away, they take you in and out of that reality. It means you're all of a sudden in heaven and you see things from a much higher perspective, a much godly perspective, and all of a sudden you look like it's a kind of like, wow, this is what really was bothering me in life. I mean, this is what mattered to me in life. And then they take you into that, and you get all full of anxiety, and then they take you out of it, and you realize it's kind of a cleansing process. To cleanse you of the thoughts and anxieties of life is by taking you in and out of that reality. It's called the kafakela. But then these garments encompass a person from the head to the toe, the entire body, until you're totally captivated by these stresses of life. And so how do you gather that in? How do you gather in all those the parts of your soul that are getting taken into worldly things and are not penetrated by a godly agenda? So he says, and how do we gather it in? By revealing a ha'ara. Again, we're not going in yet right now to the mimer of there's Eshes Yifastar and Yifastar. There's going to be other parts of the mimer that I'm not going to get to now, but so far we've revealed that there's the Chitzonis Alev, there's the essence of the heart, and now he's starting to talk about the ha'ara, the energy that comes from the essence of the heart. So if the and if the essence of the heart is totally concealed, it's not giving out any energy. But once we start to reveal, kind of break the shell around the essence of the heart, it's giving out an energy that allows for the person to be victorious in the battle. And therefore, you're able to gather in all those thoughts to transform your anxieties and worries of life to be totally around godly things. And what that again doesn't mean you're not healthy, and doesn't mean that you don't need parnasa, but it's the why of it. It's the problem is that when it gets so heavy and it's all about the gashmis of it, the physical of it, not connected to a way of serving Hashem, that's where you lose yourself. And therefore he says, after you do your battle of trying to fight it, God gifts you with the ability to conquer these issues, these stresses and anxieties of life. Now he goes into the third level. But how does a person reveal the mamish, the essence of your heart, not a manifestation of the essence, but the actual atzmis nekudis alev, lahapich atzmis amidus moralitov, and to actually transform your midos from bad to good. And I'll explain what that means in a second. And from this he says that in order to not just be victorious, right? If we learn the pasuk of the beginning of last week's Torah talks about two things. One is there's a battle, and you go to the battle. If you stop there's a conversation about a battle. When you should know that when you go out to battle, you have to go out. You have to do the chisanis alek. You have to conquer, kill the snake, and then you're going to have alevecha. You're going to be above your enemy because you're doing your part, and God's going to reveal a manifestation of the essence of your heart. And the manifestation of the essence of your heart is going to be your ability to conquer your anxieties. But conquering your anxieties is not to transform the problem; it's to overcome them. It means they're there, but you're going to be stronger than them. You're going to be alevech above your enemy. But if a person wants to reveal the essence of their heart, what does it mean to reveal the essence of your heart? That you totally transform your midos and your seichel. It's not that you're conquering your anxieties, but you no longer have them. They're not part of who you are. So then that's when you look out and you see there's a Yifas Torah. There's a beautiful woman out there that's representing the beautiful part of the soul. You don't want to just have the power to conquer the parts that are beyond you. You want to be able to transform it, that they're not even an enemy anymore. That's the next stage of the revealing of the essence of the heart. And everyone's welcome to learn that to further continue on the Maimer on their own. The idea of the Eishes Yifas Torah and the Yifas Torah. There's the wife of the Yifas Torah, and there's the Yifas Torah herself. Okay, everyone, Laila Tov and Shavua Tov. Take care.